In my role as a reform leader in schools, I have really tried to encourage teachers and faculty in different parts of, but mostly leaders, mostly teachers and principals, to really find out their core values. What are their fundamental values? For example, Nancy Tuana and Mick Bezina, they in the keynote today, they talked about moral purpose. You can say moral literacy also. So it really, I thought about that, my work when they talked. And that is about raising question, for example, what do you as a leader value and appreciate in your work? What is important? What do you want to give signals within your classroom? And it could also be, how can you put words on your thoughts? Because often I think it is only thoughts and we don't make it more explicit. So that is one thing where we really try to focus on the core values. What are your core values? And what are the core values in the classroom, in the corridor, and in the hallway, and in the cafeteria, and so on. Based on my own beliefs, as I told you before about ethical, leading ethically, we wrote a book together, my colleague Katrin Kostenius and I, but sorry, it's in Swedish. Yeah, it's called The Power of Appreciation. But in Swedish, as I said. So, and there we really had trying to join these perspectives of what is the research saying about teaching and learning, and more like an ethical aspect, and what can we learn from the practice. And we have both research. Our research is from our 2 dissertations. We have compared the results and so on. So it's both on health, ethics, and learning. And how can we bring that to the classroom, all the way into the classroom? And that is really having the core and fundamental values and bridging over to the moral action or agency that they also talked, the Bezina and Tuana, they talked about that today also. And they were really looking for what are the bridges between, and they posed a question to us. How can we really make it from this thinking to action? And for example, in a book we have some bridges, I think. And an exercise and a task that I have done with teachers is shadowing or filming. And shadowing is you invite a colleague into your classroom and you can decide a theme beforehand. I want to see how do I interact with my students, or how do I treat I don't know, boys and girls, do I do it differently, or whatever. You can choose whatever you like to, the focus of the observation. Or you can just have an unbiased observation. Just look what is happening, and that's it. And then after the colleague has observed you in the classroom, you have a debriefing where you talk about what are you learning in this, what can you see, and what the observer has seen. And sometimes I think it's really important there to focus on what works in the classroom too, because it's really nervous to have another colleague coming into the classroom and viewing, oh, what are you doing? And you know, we can discover some things that is not, oh, we are doing some very nose picking and so on. so trying to not focus, of course, on this, making it more deeper. What can I see here, and what can I learn from this? So we had the debriefing session, and then in the debriefing session you also can set some goals. Well, what have I seen here? I have seen that you have a competence in this and this and this, but maybe you could strengthen this area, and then you name that also. And then you set up goals for how can I really maintain this ever ongoing change. And filming is almost like the same, but you don't have to invite a colleague. You just put up a camera and then you can videotape yourself, and then you can view the tape and in where you're alone or so. But sometimes you also can use another colleague there as well in that process. You film and then together you can view the film afterwards. Or for example, you can also challenge yourself to view the tape with the students. And that could also be a really challenge. How would the students respond to this? And that is really trying to be obvious and humble also as a teacher, and invite the students to comment on the process. And that is if you have trust, if you have a trusting relationship with students and the teachers. And this can be used with faculty as well in higher education or wherever you want to do it.